Hey everybody, it's the Modern Native. Gonna be cooking some venison steak and mac and cheese on the wood stove. Gonna do it live, hanging out with everybody, have some conversations, and let everybody share their channels how they want, and just build a community and enjoy. Thank you for joining me. Gonna get started. I got the pan heated up already on the wood stove, and I got the water trying to start boiling for mac and cheese. Splashing a little bit of canola oil in the pan. Let that heat up. Oh, that actually heated up pretty fast. Nice. What's going on, bud? Got the steak prepped up, got the silver off of it. The wife really doesn't like the silver. I don't mind, but the pan is just big enough. Doing some pepper, onion powder, garlic, some Italian seasoning. I will be throwing some barbecue sauce on the end of it, but that's what I'm starting with to cook the flavor in. Save that for a morning start. One of the biggest tricks that I figured out when it comes to cooking on the wood stove is figuring out where the hot spot is. It does move around depending on how the fire is burning in the wood stove. So it's generally right here in the dead center, unless for some reason it'll be right here up top. Makes no sense why it's there, because the heat goes up into the back, hits the splash plate, and then goes up the flue. So it's generally the hottest point right there, but sometimes I got a front burner. What's going on, color drop? Yes, we love venison, and that's one thing we have a lot of. I had some hunters, my neighbor, the local fan club, and some family bring up deer for me to break down, and I got to keep chunks of the deer, so got plenty of venison, so it's always on the menu. Was planning on having some fried potatoes, but went digging into my potato bin and found out I had some contamination issues, and they all went bad or got contaminated by the bad. So that sucks. So plan got altered down to the mac and cheese. It is a blessing to have a full freezer. When we filled up the freezer, got to the top, and I was like, I just kind of stood there for a minute looking at it, and I was like, man, that's a pretty sight. The wife called down to me and was like, "What is?" I was like, "A full freezer." I will be dropping the link when if anybody wants to come up and talk about it, have some questions or just thoughts or what you guys do with your venison. My little trick to speed things up. Hi Beverly, how's it going? Thanks for joining. Thank you for showing love to the wife. She wasn't so sure on starting her channel, but she's seems to be enjoying it. So. You got that one for me, baby?
Yep.
Thank you. So report and hide from channel. Or hide from channel, then report.
I did.
Bobsleigh. Didn't really have an issue with that many bots before. Seems to be getting worse now. You too, D-Man. Looks like it's going to be a cold one this coming weekend too, so you be careful up there. Drop your channel link.
I don't want to do that.
Go to your channel. Go to the 3 dots in the corner. Hit share. When it pops up, hit copy link, and then come back to the chat and paste.
God, I'm hearing it twice.
There you go. I'll show you how to make your custom link sometime.
It's not very hard. It's just Mrs. Native.
No, I'm saying going into your studio, going to your branding, going to your custom link, your custom URL, and making it. Because it can't just be Mrs. Native, it has to be Mrs. Native plus something else. That's why mine says the Modern Native Tribe.
Oh, I'll even probably do Mrs. Native.
Yeah. What's going on, Cecilia? I saw you on my replay. Thank you very much. For those that don't know, on my replay, when I get towards the end of my live stream, I drop a code word for my replay champions, as I call them. Those are the people who make it all the way through and catch that moment where I leave my code word. And you drop that in the comments, it puts you on my top supporter list, and you're going to get a special gift when I get around to sending those out. Just an FYI. That's my first time mentioning anything about that in my first 15 minutes. What's going on, Heath? Frontier Survival, how you doing? Thanks for showing on. You got the venison on the skillet. Covered it with the, well, I got it in the frying pan, covered it with the skillet to help bounce some of that heat down so that way it cooks up faster. And I'm going to be making some mac and cheese with the venison steak. I love cooking it like beef stew. I made that for the wife and her aunt when she was hanging out, and it took me like 2 hours, and she was like, "It tastes like you've been cooking this for days." Nothing better than venison. I'm seriously thinking about doing a little bonus thing on top of my survival challenge. When I'm walking across whatever I'm walking across before I jump into the creek, I think I'm going to have one of the deer legs on my shoulder. So after I get myself fixed up, I'm going to cook that right over the fire. What do you think?
I don't know, maybe.
To keep the hair from slipping, color drop when you're brain tanning or any sort of method, the trick is if you sponge it on and you leave it on there, you don't soak the whole fur in the solution, and you let the solution just soak onto the skin side, and you don't let it soak for more than like 8 to 12 hours. Anything past that, the skin will start slipping. The biggest thing is just keeping it from being soaked for too long. Sapphire diamond pearls. I brought my plate, silverware, and my cup. I'm ready. Well, gotta wait for it to be done and pull up. One of my meetups, gatherings, powwows, whatever I'm going to end up calling them, I'm definitely going to do a big cookout. If I can get it during hunting season with a big fresh deer, I'm gonna put it right on a big open spit and just roast that like a whole pig, like a pig roast. And getting in my truck now. And I'm serious when I say the offer is open to anybody who wants to make the trip out here to upstate New York and come and hang out. I'm always down for some company, always ready for a collab. Always happy to have a friend hanging out. Make some videos, go camping, go for a hike. Who knows? Rare venison steak is my favorite with sour cream and fresh dill. Sounds like something the wife would love.
Mm.
Fish hunt trapper Pete. What up? What up? Kind of seasoning on the venison. It's I did onion, black pepper, garlic, and Italian seasoning. And then at the end, I'm gonna be throwing on some barbecue sauce to cook that in. That's awesome, Cecilia. Thank you. I definitely need the watch hours. I'm getting so close to 1,000. I know I'm just gonna be sitting there grinding my teeth, knowing that I'm past my 1,000 mark, and I gotta wait for those watch hours. I think I might be at 1,100 watch hours now. Firmware update. What are you doing? I know, right, Frontier? I think you were what, in the 500 or 700s when we connected?
Yes, I think.
When it comes to brain tanning, it's actually you ever heard the phrase tan in your own hide? The general rule of thumb is that every animal has enough brain matter to tan its own hide.
How do you toast those?
I tap them.
Oh.
That's why I kept freaking out when the snow was touching the screen, because it kept touching chat messages. Ooh, I hear that sizzling and popping. I like to add olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic. Let it marinate for a few hours and then cook it hot and fast.
We cook on a wood stove, so.
I was gonna say on the wood stove, I'm kind of dependent on how hot it's running. There we go. Freaking phones. And I like to marinate stuff. I like to let it sit for a while, but sometimes it's one of those, oh man, what are we having tonight? And I just grab a piece of meat and set it on my wood stack and let it thaw out for a while. That's good, Frontier. I keep saying you keep having an issue trying to get your Wednesday night dynamite out. Probably doing some on the weekends to help you out. Yep, I knew that was going to pop up on there.
Beer is gross. We don't drink beer. Use it for anything.
Yeah, I saw that post. Yes, getting wood for the winter is definitely a task. I don't have any bay leaves, but I do enjoy red pepper flakes. I love the wood stove. Got a good sizzle. Keep the juices in there. That's nice. I'm at 1,023 watch hours. Still pretty much 3,000 short. I prefer bow hunting, but I do have a shotgun from lovely supporters. And I haven't personally done any hunting this year, at least not successfully anyway. See, I've heard so many different theories as to what works and what doesn't on the playlists. Some people think it's the volume. Some it's the having videos that are 10 minutes or more. But YouTube isn't exactly clear on that because they don't want to make it easier for people to bump up the watch hours like that. I mean, there's a way you can self-watch it, which they explain. All you gotta do is you go onto the browser, you open up the playlist, and then you duplicate the tab, and you have like 20, 30 tabs going with the playlist going, and you can self-watch your 4,000 watch hours. And I think sometimes they just don't count it because the playlist is just constantly running, and I don't know. YouTube is so finicky, kind of like keeping me at the 866 for a month, and you will hear that until I get over 1,000. Because then I won't care. I'm at 1,000. Woo-hoo. It's actually cooking nice and fast now. I love doing this. Archer Maze. I don't recognize you. Ah, okay. Thank you, Sapphire, again. You're awesome for sending so many friends my way. You see, I'm not sure about the sound thing because a lot of people don't have sound. Like if you think about the hearing impaired, they don't have the sound on and they have the subtitles on. So I mean, I'm not sure, but I mean, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, I understand what you mean, Cecilia. Like if it happens one time, better safe than sorry, kind of thing. And color drop, I can't wait to start raising some of our own animals. And I know what you mean about hunting with a bow and being afraid of injuring an animal and having it get away. Uh, it's lots of target practice. That's all I can really say. And using the right broadhead and knowing your kill zones. Um, there's a lot of people that have a lot of animals that get away from them that they don't ever get to track down. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of irresponsible hunters out there that if it doesn't just drop and it runs off and it's out of their sight, they're not going to go through the effort of going through that, of hunting them down and tracking them down and finding their kill. So I definitely understand that, but as long as you get a nice centered shot, you have a decent blood trail to follow, and you wait for your clean shot. Pretty well, I mean, they, natives and cultures all over the world hunted like that for thousands of years and still do very successfully. So I definitely prefer it because it feels more traditional. I love guns, but there's a part of me that just I'm not a fan of the big bang that comes with a shotgun or a rifle or whatever. It feels like I'm shattering the piece, but that from a bow, it's I don't know, that's just me.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Greetings, Earthling. When it comes around for hunting season again, and I get around to it, maybe I'll get a uh one of those decoys, one of those target practice decoys. And I mean, they have the zones on there anyway, but I can help explain it and everything else. That's awesome. You got a doe this year. And the way I see it, you're more likely to be able to get a second shot. Like if you've got two or three, or a whole herd of deer in a field, and maybe they're separated enough. you've got more of a chance of getting that second shot off without having them spook if you're using a bow with a silencer. So, squirrel! Haven't seen you in a bit, bro. How's it going? Cooking some venison steak and mac and cheese on the wood stove, hanging out, having some conversations. Got some good interaction tonight. Yeah, I got a bow and arrow this year too. My local fan club hooked me up with a bow he doesn't use and some aluminum arrows, but I mean they work. Haven't gone elk hunting yet. I actually haven't. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten my first kill yet. I've been cursed. Like with the fishing, I'm cursed. With hunting, I seem to be cursed because the one clean shot I had on a doe, it was right as I pulled up. She was in this gap of the saplings, right in the kill zone. But I wasn't expecting to see her yet because I wasn't up to my spot. And as soon as I pulled up and went to go draw back, she took that step forward, and I no longer had a clean shot. And I'm not going to gut shot with a bow. Elk chili. Sounds yummy. I'm hoping to get hooked up with some bear meat sometime so that way I can make some bear chili. My aunt made that a few years back. That was delicious.
And that bear sausage that we had.
Oh yeah, that bear sausage from the neighbor when we were down at camp.
I love bear.
I know, isn't that how it always is, Color Drop? Whenever you're watching someone cook something, you're like, man, now I'm hungry.
We're talking about food.
Yeah. I've made venison stew, steak, burgers, jerky, obviously. Ton of jerky for the boys. Mortonizing trio. That's interesting. Anybody who joins the tribe and has content, I'm definitely going to be subbing back. But we are in upstate New York, Duggar. I keep wanting to call you Drugger. Swear I'm like partially dyslexic sometimes. I keep putting Mr. into the Duggar, making it Drugger. But we're in upstate New York in the Adirondacks. We're pretty close, right on the Sacandaga Lake. Venison, everything. The best wild game that I've eaten. I am really torn. I love venison, and it cooks up so many different ways so well. But I really love bear. Like, there's something about eating a predator. I don't know why. There's just something about it. Knowing that you're eating something that could have ate you. All right, fish hunt, trap, and repeat. You have a good night. Get some sleep. I mean, shit, it's 11 o'clock. We're only cooking dinner. Man, my timing's terrible.
I'd have to say my wild game would be alligator. I love me some gator.
I don't know if y'all heard that.
Yeah, they can hear everything I say.
Okay. I hate repeating.
Mm. I have a headphone in, so that's all you've been doing.
Well, that's not me repeating. That's you hearing my voice twice. With bear, you have to cook it the right way. Like,
It has to be seasoned properly. It has to be done at the perfect temp.
and you got to trim the right amount of fat off of it. Personally, I like the fat flavor. I like that gamey fat. I'm a big fat person. I love it. Like, I would leave the silver on and all the fat that comes on a deer, but the wife doesn't like it, so I trim it off for her.
Blue grouse. What is that?
It's the bird.
Oh, that's a bird?
Yeah, grouse is a bird. It's pretty close to a pheasant. Right? I got that right. Pretty sure. Growing up in...
Blue boar. Yum.
Oh, the statues out of ice. I love that. And if it was tough, it was cooked too fast. Probably had some grizzle on it. So it probably wasn't trimmed right. If you braise it and then slow cook it in a stew, it tastes great. And growing up in Hawaii, you ate a lot of wild boar, huge and fat over there. You eat a steady diet of mango and avocados. That's got to be some tasty meat.
That's why I said,
Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah, like a little wood chicken in the mountains. Yeah, I thought so.
And I love some wild hogs too. There is a difference.
I would love to go on a spear hunt with a wild boar, Rambo style. No, I know, Cecilia. That's why I was saying, like, if it because it was made for you, the person who made it probably didn't make it quite right. It's a super finicky meat. Even the bear burger that we had, I had to cook it just right on the fire to get it come out nice.
On open fire.
And oh man, was that tasty.
Mm-hmm.
Or bear sausage, I should say. I made them into sausage burgers.
I didn't care what they were. It was bear, and it tasted so yummy.
And it recooked. I took the leftovers and I recooked it into a woodland gumbo, and oh man, because we had venison then too, right? Yeah, it was venison, bear, and chicken that he brought us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made it into gumbo.
Because I made the venison rotisserie style on a spit on the fire, and then I fried the bear sausage on the fire, and then I put everything into a pot with the leftovers once we were done for that night. Put them in a pot, and I slow cooked them. I mean, I think it's technically a red meat. Bear.
It is a red meat, and yes, we definitely have bears around here.
Yes, we have a bear, a big bear. It's in our area. He comes down and occasionally tries to snatch a chicken. Haven't seen him since we moved in, but I've heard the stories.
Well, depending on the bear and the age of the bear, it could be anywhere between red and gray meat.
So it's somewhere in between beef and pork, right? Pretty
much, yeah.
And
because that sausage was almost gray, except it wasn't the gray; it was more of like a silvery gray.
And Duggar, he said, "Sure, pal, until the board gets you." I'm in the frame. I'm the type of mind that if I'm going to hunt something, especially like that, if it gets me before I get it, well, good on it. It earned that. I've had confrontations with coy dogs and coyotes, and It's I don't know. I'm just one of those crazy people that I'm not afraid of it. If it happens, it's gonna happen. I'd rather get taken out by an animal than, you know, something stupid.
Branded 64.
Going on. Tenderloin with peppers and wrapped in bacon on a stick over the grill. Bambi bombs. Yummers. That's awesome. Let's go. What's up, Brandon? Yeah, that's called baiting. People do that around here. They bait the bears, they bait the deer, they bait anything and everything that they want to hunt. Eh, it's illegal, definitely, but I mean it's their method. I don't feel like it's a fair fight at that point because they're not. They're just going back to the spot that they're getting food and well, dead. So I mean it's again that's me. I have my own way of doing things, and
And yes, color drop. Definitely unethical.
yes, yes.
I can't stand it. It is absolutely disgusting to me.
Yeah, I definitely got to try a Bambi bomb now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I'm all for it right now.
Mm. You smell it?
Yeah,
Smell it?
64. Stop by to support you. Hit the thumbs up. Need to take off. Peace, everyone.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
For the most part, all bears eat fruit.
I was gonna say bears mostly eat fruit, berries, things like that.
Berries are
But you know they get their rabbits, they get their deer. Uh, Up in the mountains around here, they'll actually like slow follow coy dog packs and wait until they get a deer and then scare them off and take their kill. And for those that don't know, I'm not talking about coyotes, I'm talking about coy dogs. And some people have a misconception as to what a coy dog is, and it's domesticated dogs that were released and they go feral. Now, sometimes they form packs of their own if it's an area that has a lot of a lot of released dogs. There's a campground down in town near us that people show up out of the city. They can't have dogs in the city in their apartments and stuff, so they get a dog for the summer. They're at the campground all summer, and then when they leave, they just unhook the dog and get out of here. And we had a pack of 36 previously domesticated dogs that are feral, and they're called coy dogs. Sometimes they breed with coyotes and mixed packs, but they are extremely dangerous, extremely feral because they aren't afraid of people. They aren't afraid of light or fires. And to them, all of it means food. So they will come after people.
Actually, if bears eat more honey, it helps them eat.
No, it's terrible with people. I hate it, Cecilia. It's and especially living just up the road from that campground growing up as a kid. I got chased down by a pack. My mom taught me, you know, when I'm out by the fire, have my flashlight, do the eye shine, check the woods, make sure they're not creeping up on me. And I was just zoning out, poking at the fire, playing with it. I was like 6, 7 years old. That's how long I've been out having fires by myself. I always do that. But my dog was on his chain on the tree and just heard that low growl. And I looked up at him and I was like, oh no, what are you looking at? And I picked up the flashlight and I looked. 6 eye shines were shining back at me. Oh man, if your stomach don't drop or you don't have a heart attack, there's something else. Ah, threw the flashlight and ran. My dog snapped his chain and fought those dogs tooth and nail, and he was just coated in blood and not a scratch on him. We called him the Hellhound, but but yeah, color drop. It's it tends to make the meat sweeter. Yeah, I was just in the middle of a tangent. I had to finish it. The animal control in the area was a hunting party. It was a hunting party that after it got to the point where all the local farms were losing cattle, kids were getting attacked, like me. A little girl got torn up pretty bad before her dad ran out there with the gun, was able to get him off of her. The local hunters and people with rifles and stuff, they kind of laid a trap in the middle of the field and took them all out. As far as getting people to be charged for it, well, if they take the tags off, there's no real way to tell where the dog came from. So, Eventually, the campground ended up having this paper that when people would come in, they would log how many people came in, how many dogs came in, and if you didn't leave with the same amount of dogs, you were getting reported. So that was the closest that we could get to having any sort of control or responsibility taken. That was as close as we got. So being out in the country, it's one of those tough situations sometimes. You like the privacy, but it's trying to get the authorities to do anything sometimes is few and far between. Got the nice braids on both sides now.
It smells delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. Just past rare. So I'm throwing the barbecue sauce on there, getting the mac and cheese into the pot.
Did you see what you had said about the Rangers?
We don't really have rangers like that in our area. And it's one of those gray areas. DEC doesn't regulate domesticated animals. Animal control didn't really have a department out here. So it was one of those people would call the sheriffs, call the fire department, things like that to try to coordinate something. But until it actually got into the public space about it being an issue, nobody really took action. And a lot of them would just be like, "Oh, he got loose." Yeah, with his collar taken off.
A lot of them just lie and say they slept the collar.
Yeah. Some good old box mac and cheese. Would have made, from scratch, but even the cheese that we got, it's not really enough to make a from scratch mac and cheese the way I'd like. Oh, and good night, color drop. Have a good night.
you're on the 2-for-1 steak?
We're splitting the steak.
Well,
That's why I'm making mac and cheese with it.
she said, hold on, there's only one where the second furnace is needed. And yeah, I don't eat a lot, so when it's a big, thick steak like that, we usually will share it. Because I like macaroni and cheese a little bit more. And my teeth hurt all the time. It's not saying much to him, but.
Oh, did you catch that bit of the conversation, Tasha? We were talking about elk and venison and bear and all
I
that.
went back through and looked.
Oh yeah, true. She always does. Or she probably watched the replay on double speed or something.
Of course, I looked over here.
Yeah, I gotta move it off the hot spot now because it's starting to cook just a little too fast with barbecue sauce. Give it a double click. Oh,
If I had some fresh veggies, we'd be eating them every night. But right now, we don't have any fresh ones. So we have the cans, and we don't usually eat a canned veggie every night. We try to split them out to make sure we have enough to survive. We're not big on going shopping and buying certain things. When spring comes around, we'll be growing. I'll have a giant garden. I love to garden. But right now, we just space things out, so we're probably not having a veggie.
the veggies are the garlic and onion powder. That's my veggies. Oh, she was just saying that we don't have a lot of fresh. We got canned veggies, but mixing canned veggies with this wouldn't really mix all that well. And we just like to space it out. We're gonna be growing our veggies and seasonings and spices and all that in the garden come spring. So next winter we'll be eating good. You wouldn't do what, Tosh? Oh, she actually may be behind. She does that sometimes. She'll be commenting on what we said previously. Oh, okay. Oh, that's what you were saying. I do that sometimes to catch up. If I'm only a couple minutes behind, I'll hit that double speed or with some people I can watch it on double speed and it sounds like a normal paced conversation, but other people I've actually got to slow it down to like a 1.5 so I can actually understand. My aunt does that. She cans everything.
We will be doing that as well.
Yeah, I just got to get the equipment for that.
I just need to use
Mason jars, a canning pot.
it.
Well, see, the only problem with watching it on double speed is it does cut down the watch time. It goes by how much time you actually spend watching it. So if it's a 4-hour live and you watch it at double speed, you're only giving them 2 hours of watch time. So it does hurt on the long run, but for like just a couple of minutes to catch up to make sure I didn't miss something that was said, that's the only reason I do it. But it's up in, if you click on the screen and you hit those 3 dots in the corner, you go down to playback speed and it's set to normal. You click that and it'll bring it up. You can watch it in slow motion or you can watch it in double increments up to double speed. I got a lot of priorities I got to get to before I worry about canning jars. I've still got to get the biogas digester, the materials for that. Still got to set up the hydro turbine and the materials for that, and finish closing off the yard, setting up the fence. There's a lot. There's a lot I still got to do. Haven't gotten to do much this winter. That's thoughtful, Cecilia. But yeah, there's a lot. Can't do a whole lot in the winter, but what's going on, Dink? Whenever I see your name, all I think of is when we're going down the road and the person in front of us doesn't use the turn signal. I always say, "Nice dinker, you dink." Because I always call the turn signal a dinker. Because it dinks at you. Hi, Cynthia. You have a good night, too. Get some sleep. Thanks for stopping in, showing the support. Oh, nice barbecue glazing going on. Mm.
They don't normally have off the yard and backwood.
Yeah, we have in mid-spring and late fall, we have this big rush of yard sales and garage sales that happen. It's like this event. Everybody throughout the towns nearby do all their yard sales at once. And that's when we can get a good chance to go and get stuff. But the actual village, the town near us, is 10 miles away. So it's a bit of a pain getting down there sometimes. I got to get the Jeep on the road still. Trying to see where my hot spot is now. Okay, good. I'm in the cool spot. Appreciate that, Cecilia. I have to set up an actual email dedicated to my YouTube, and I'll put it on my About page. Thanks, Squirrel. Thanks for hanging out. Just about closing up here. Mac and cheese is almost cooked. And the steak is pretty much done. And I got some venison cooking with some mac and cheese. And I keep and use everything, Cecilia. That's the native way. I don't put anything to waste. If the dogs aren't chewing on the bones, I'm boiling them down for something. Low heat trick. Thanks, Tasha. Oh, well, geez. A little bit of frozen milk. Oh man, I always hate the bricks. I can't ever gauge it.
You already used the rest of the stick like that?
It's not enough, and I don't want to mix real butter with the imperial, so I'm just going to save that for when we're doing toast.
Okay. I said I was getting off, so.
Yep.
Getting off of here. To anyone who can hear me, y'all have a good night. And hubby will tell me if you have any questions for me or anything like that.
Yep, I'm going to be getting off in a minute as soon as I show the reveal of the steak. Cecilia's taking off just a minute too early to see that yumminess up close.
Pretty sure she was saying goodnight to me.
Oh, thought for a second she was saying she was taking off. I always throw a little bit of seasonings into the mac and cheese. I used to use salt on everything, but I don't really use salt anymore. And maybe later when I bake the cake, I'll do that on a live stream. Or at least a video. That's going to take a while, so it might just be a video. I'll do the start and then the finish. Show everybody that. Bam, some yummy mac and cheese. Only got 2 hanging out, so I don't know who's even here. Yeah, that figures. That's where I do that. Bombs away. Ah. Damn. Fried barbecued venison steak. There we go. So I'm gonna set this on the log I have here to rest. Finish stirring this. That's done. And that was cooking with the native. Give myself just a little bit of light here so y'all can see me. I was cooking some venison and some mac and cheese on the wood stove. Thanks everybody for joining me. And tonight's code word is going to be bear, elk, deer, in that order. It's my code word for you guys. Words for my replay champions. Thank you all for hanging out. Thanks everybody for joining. Until next time, get out there, be a native, and go beast.